9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. I was about to say Friday. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. TK Trinidad here, the WWT live edition. So now, y'all, where you guys are coming from, states, cities, country. Hey, Lewis, let me know in the chat. Also, the super chats are open. So what does that mean? For $2 or more, you can ask all the questions that you want, such as where Seth is, what island, where he's vacationing at, all that good stuff. And, you know, if Will ever did get the VPN he needed to watch NXT, which I think is happening. It happened yesterday. So anyways, we are here and I am not alone. The PR princess herself, Courtney Rice, is in the building.
It is Wednesday. I mean, obviously, of course, there's Dynamite, but it is an eventful Wednesday because lots happened. Busy week. I was gonna say Friday too because it's the middle of the week. I'm just ready for Friday to be here.
Yeah, I would like to say so too, but my weekends are not very restful, so I don't know why. I'm looking forward to that. But I am looking forward to, we have a very special guest co-host today. Hope is joining us, really avid wrestling writer.
Hello.
So she's come to join the squad and see how everything goes.
Yes, it is a pleasure. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
How are you doing?
Ladies, for allowing me to participate. Happy Dynamite Wednesday. Yay, love pro wrestling. Yes. Favorite topic.
There it is. Oh, there you are. I was like, oh, wait, we can't see. Right. Here we are. So let's get into it. It's kind of funny because as you guys know, or some of you guys know, we have the Women's Wrestling Archive. So I was doing some back-end work for the archive, and I stumbled upon Steph DeLander's interview that we did. And lo and behold, she calls it quits for TNA. So tell us a little bit about this, Courtney.
It's very interesting because when this broke, courtesy of Fightful, because they were the ones that broke out this story. This is kind of a developing story because, as you know, if you follow TNA, Mace was in a feud with AJ Francis because if you saw the two of them one-on-one with Impact last week, but apparently for Fightful, some days like this, I wish I had my own podcast because there wasn't that much story to tell and they saved it for the paywall, quote unquote paywall. So this is a developing story that I'm sure we're going to get a lot more details because shockingly enough, this came out today and they just quit TNA, this is much of a shocker. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of developing story of the reasonings why they left in the coming days.
So now, Hope, do you have any theories as to why they could have left? Or do you think this is all a work, which is, you know,
exactly.
Stuff now.
Exactly. Are we certain this isn't a work, or did they really quit because contract disputes are real and they have options?
They definitely do have. They definitely do have. Yeah. They definitely do have a lot of options as far as indie wise. I mean, yeah.
The sky's the limit for them. So it'll be interesting to see
if it's not a work. I wish them all the best. And if it is, yeah.
There's a delay. I'm not sure if it's on my end or not. I apologize, ladies.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Apparently, oh, no worries. Is it me or is it because I know it looks like my internet? So crazy. I think there's something wrong with my internet. So it's stuck on Bahamas. So I only can watch stuff if my VPN is set to Bahamas. If it's me, just let me know and I can just restart it. But something that apparently is not a work that has been kind of going on as far as social media is Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. And the situation where a lot of people are saying that Jade has rubbed a lot of people in the locker room poorly. And this hits a little bit different being a Black woman So Courtney, talk about this.
It's like I said in the previous one, it's very interesting because this actually started after Rhea won the Elimination Chamber, and it just kind of blew up because we did see many ladies in the roster: Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, Zelina Vega chiming in on Twitter towards Jade, and even Rhea Ripley chiming in herself. So there is a lot of speculation. I don't know if I don't want to get much into details because I don't know if this is true or not regarding Jade, because I know there has been a lot of constructive criticism with the way she's been handled so far, where she came in, she was with the big three, but also with the fact too, since she's been champion, she's only had one defense, and that was against Jordan Grace. So basically playing against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, because of course, and this is where my PR brain gets in, because they want to do the draw, they want to build up tickets after hearing about the sales. They really want to bring people in, which I get between Jade and Rhea. But it really is going to be interesting because I don't want to say if it's true or work, because I think there is a lot of things that we may not know about behind closed doors, and very interesting on how the rival is going to play out in 6 weeks. It's going to be very interesting. And also with Rhea coming to SmackDown to confront Jade. And that's the first time they're going to meet face to face.
Yeah, it is interesting. And again, Hope, kind of going back to, whether you think this is a work or not. I always get kind of antsy when it hits too close to home, when it becomes or appears slightly racial. And I'm like,
absolutely. This is a
soror,
a member of AKA, highly successful businesswoman, mom, wife, has done a lot within the community. But there had been some rumblings prior about friction between she and Bianca. If you remember, when they were all together, Bianca's used to designing her own costume. Jade's used to having someone put her outfits together, not necessarily Bianca. So obviously I wasn't behind the scenes, but I did hear some rumbling about that. I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised, but the question would be on whose end is it on? Because this is a star. I love Rhea dearly. For whatever reason, I have no idea why Rhea hasn't been in a movie yet, but that's another story. But back to Jade, she's without question megastar, attraction. Obviously, there's some things that could be improved upon, but I've seen improvement, vast improvement from when she was in AEW. So I suspect there is to it, but again, the question is it on her, or is it in the ladies in the locker room who can't deal with a strong Black woman who hasn't necessarily said anything wrong or done anything wrong, but they just can't deal for whatever reason. And time will tell.
This kind of almost reminds me of Britt Baker.
Oh, and, God.
Dear God. Then we saw everything, right? So it's just kind of like, because you kind of, as an athlete, you kind of grow up, or even within a family, right? What happens underneath the house, nobody talks about. Like, you don't talk about outside the walls of this house. So for it to be like trending and people talking about it, it's kind of weird to me. Like, I feel like for as much things that the ladies have done thus far, as far as wrestling is concerned, to talk about this so publicly seems kind of like it's been okay to say it, or it's just that bad that you just don't care. So I don't know. It's if it is a work, it's a really good one, because I remember the time it was ROH and Billy Starks. We were there live. I think it was myself and Honey, and Billy Starks played like she had that neck injury. And like, you can't really play with neck injuries like that, because like people lose their career. And then she gets up and she kicks, I think it was Queen Aminata. And it's just like, bro, but also that was really great acting. So, you know, that's the great thing about wrestling. So I truly hope it's not real. But you know, we'll find out. It's hard to really fool us nowadays with social media. So to get a collective like this is interesting.
disturbing.
But
Mhm.
yeah. What's up, Jeffrey and Lynette and Will in the chat from the UK? But before we, hey Sindel, and before we get into anything else, let's get this AEW Dynamite preview going.
Yeah, we have AEW Dynamite happening tonight since we are almost done our road trip to AEW Revolution. Yours truly will be doing a watch along at the top of the hour. And after the commotion that happened on Collision over the weekend, we're going to see the Jet Kevin Knight take on the reigning AEW World Champion MJF in a title match. There's been a lot of words right before his big match against Hangman Adam Page. It's going to be a banger between these two guys. And speaking of Hangman Adam Page, he will be in action tonight. Who's his opponent going to be? I have no idea, but we shall see. And hopefully it'll be a surprise. And especially before he takes on his Texas death match against MJF heading into Revolution. We're also going to have, after another moment that happened on Collision over the weekend between Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita, we're going to have Jon Moxley take on another member of the Don Callis family, Hechicero, going one-on-one with each other. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of chaos and mayhem between the Don Callis family and the Death Riders. We're also going to have the AEW Women's World Championship match, Thunder Rosa coming back to her home state of Texas, taking on the Toxic Spider Tekla one-on-one, and happy to see Miss Thunder back in action. And we're also going to have another favorite tag team of mine, the Brawling Birds. And this is an international one because you got the Brawling Birds from the UK and you have the Inspiration from Australia in their first televised match after they did say they were all elite after the house show in Australia. And this is going to be a fun international match with all four of these ladies. And we're also going to have my favorite Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin teaming up to take on Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. All this and more happening tonight at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS and simulcast on HBO Max. And is there any match in particular or a segment in particular that you're excited about for AEW Dynamite tonight from El Paso, Texas?
I'll let you take this one, Hope.
Yeah, it's all interesting. I'm going back with the Hangman because every time there's a special call out or what have you, there's a surprise. There's almost given a surprise, either a name that's been floating or even someone backstage who we least expect, and a surprise, if you will. I love AEW. I love the alternative and the action that they have. It takes me back to the NWA WCW days. So definitely excited about Hangman, and of course the ladies. You know, you never get bored with the ladies. Sometimes they truly outperform the guys. So
I mean, I'm always ladies all the way. Thunder Rosa, I think I said it this last time I was on the show. She has such an incredible story. And I'm happy to see her back. And I'm looking forward to seeing, it's kind of like AEW, we're still kind of learning. Everybody's still kind of learning. So, it presented with the championship this time around, how they're going to do it differently. Or how they'll write it differently, or how they'll present it differently. So I'm curious to see how that is going to all play out. Somebody who's doing things differently now, Big E. So he has announced his retirement, but he also said that he was offered multiple times to be part of the commentary team, and he's turned it down. And if you've been following his social media, he's been having a lot of different offers as far as voiceovers. You've seen him in different TV shows. He has a lot of things that are happening for him right now. So it makes sense. He's still going to do the PLEs, which was averaging every month and a half. That's still a good gig to have. You're still in the face of the people, and then you're able to do your other things. So, I mean, it makes sense in that way. But Courtney, what do you think?
I actually like it. I know Big E's been asking multiple times, but just let the man do what he does best. He's been doing it for so long. He's been doing like the pre-shows and the post-shows for all the PLEs for WWE. And I know he's been asked many, many times in the interview, but this is actually good for him to be on it. And also, he wants to branch out and doing other opportunities as well. And with the fact too, he's almost getting ready to be married soon. So that's another responsibility to have. But it's nice to see Big E. And also, I did enjoy when he was on the post show for the Elimination Chamber. Him and AJ embraced after she won the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And he was just so happy to see his friend win. And also, it's just for him too, because if he doesn't want to do commentary, he probably doesn't want to. So just let him continue what he does. And if it comes organically, I am okay with that. And I wouldn't mind seeing Big E on the commentator's desk. It would be very interesting to see how it plays out if he wants to do like Raw, if he wants to do SmackDown, maybe he wants to jump into NXT, or maybe he wants to do Evolve. That's another thing too. But the sky is the limit for Big E.
I'm
For
so
sure. Thoughts, Hope?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Courtney, about the part of his being happy for AJ Lee. It reminded me of how happy he was for Naomi when she won. I mean, the tears were genuinely flowing between the two. He's mega supporter of his friends, mega supporter of women's wrestling. I love the thought of his venturing out, especially with the uncertainty of where ownership will eventually land for WWE. Let's keep that real. Better safe than sorry. And I also like the thought of his being in the commentary booth. I mean, I don't know if he would necessarily like people in his ear throughout the entire show, but I could also imagine the banter between he and Booker T if he were to do NXT, for example. That would be fun and historic in a way, because I don't think there's ever been two Black people in commentary. So that would be an interesting duo.
Yeah. I think that, and I don't know if Bose is on here as far as fact checking. I think myself and Professor might have been the first Black female and Black male to do commentary for indie, if I'm not mistaken. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know, fact check that. I'm not saying it's a fact, but I'd say fact check that. And we're also looking for commentators for ACW. So if y'all are interested, send your messages, DM the social media. But yeah, I'm definitely happy for him. But also, if you think about it, the week out grind of doing commentary is a lot. And if you can get away with doing the PLEs and then do the rest of your life after that or during that, I would sign up for that wholeheartedly. That to me seems like a way better deal. He doesn't have to prove himself to anybody. We already know he was a great wrestler. We already know he can talk on the mic. It seems like the best of both worlds. And then you get to be home with your new wife. Like, wait, what? You're gonna get married and just take off again? I don't think his wife will appreciate that. So
that part.
I know that part.
I need to go to the, I don't think.
And his sister-in-law too.
Oh, that.
Yeah. So I think I think all the way around, happy wife, happy life. And he seems happy too with all the projects that he's doing. Another thing that I'm excited about, because we weren't really sure if it was going to continue, is AEW and WWE announced new seasons of WWE LFG and Legends and WWE's Greatest Moments all coming, which is, I think we were talking about this on the phone. Was it yesterday? I don't know. There's just so much wrestling. Not only do you have the shows, you have all this other content. But I'm definitely happy for all these programs. Is there a program in general, Courtney, that you're like looking forward to watching?
I mean, outside of elegies, I would probably say the biography one. It's very fascinating on the biography side, especially on the ones that pass, because it's very fascinating when you look at some of the early life stuff, like the early beginnings and everything, and you get to hear from some superstars who were there in the present time. I actually do like that because it does give a better idea and the storytelling aspect of a wrestler. I think a lot of times
Mhm.
when fans, most specifically the casual fans, don't understand the journey part of what it takes to being a professional wrestler. And there have been
Mhm.
many people they have spotlighted, from, I think it was The Rock and Triple H, the British Bulldog they spotlight. I think China they did at one point in a past season. So I do think it's a little important to really re-educate, especially on that. And also, especially too, because I'm seeing new fans pop up left and right, and they never got the chance to experience it, like in the Attitude Era, in the New Generation
Mhm.
Era, in the Ruthless Aggression Era. It does give opportunities to some wrestlers that we knew when we were kids and teenagers. It does give them a little bit of a lesson, and also an opportunity to really venture out and saying, like, why we give respect to a lot of wrestlers, especially like the Chinas, the British Bulldogs of the world, the Chris Jerichos of the world. Like, we always make sure to give respect to them, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't get a lot of future stars that we see today. And a lot of the stars in the
Mhm.
current roster do acknowledge some of the wrestlers that paved the way for them.
Yeah. Hope, thoughts?
That's interesting. Because when I first heard the news, I was legitimately torn. I fell in love unexpectedly with LFG right away. And I was mad
Mhm.
with myself because, like, darn it, that's another program. Now I've got to make more time for this. And then, of course, the biographies, as Courtney was mentioning before. I mean, I love the history. I love the backdrop and things that make sense now that may not have made sense back then. But the other piece of it, there are additional programs, and there is already enough programs, and you
Mhm.
can see that it's already, trying to figure out a way to say this politely, it appears that the content of some of these programs are being watered down because they are pulled in so many different directions. You've got Raw,
Mhm.
you've got SmackDown, you've got Evolve, you've got NXT, now you've got LFG, then you've got these other shows on Netflix, and all of these require a writing team, and it's
Mhm.
weekly, and it's like you can almost see the results in the programming today in comparison to even a few years ago. So it's like it's a little bit bittersweet for me. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, something to. I feel the same way, but oftentimes, I think it was like my pastor from college or something. It's not always about you. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, think of all the people who didn't watch wrestling, but they watched Total Divas, and they got brought
Mm-hmm.
into wrestling because of Total Divas. Or the people who like reality shows and it's a competition show. So those ones who watch like MTV Challenge, the challenge, they now see LFG and they weren't watching wrestling, but now they watch it and now they get into wrestling. I think, and I always, WWE, if you want me to just be a fly on the wall, I will not say anything. I always just want to be a fly on the wall because I find it interesting, or I find it very interesting on what their reasoning for all these shows are. If it's more like entry points, because you have AEW and biography. So you have people who just love watching
Mm-hmm.
biographies. It doesn't matter who the person is. Or like I said, you have LFG or you have NXT on CW, and people typically tend to gravitate to certain networks. So I'm venturing to say it's not about the people who are already in the room that love to watch wrestling, that watch the Raws, the SmackDowns of it all. I think it might be for the people who are not, and now they're bringing more fans to the building. What is
That's a
this
good
called?
point.
It's Timeless the Elite ones.
It's yes.
Oh my goodness. And it also too, what's with the biographies of it all and everything else, another thing that's kind of coming out of this wrestling boom is the Women's Wrestling Archive.
Women's wrestling didn't just show up yesterday in glitter boots. We've been here the entire time, body slamming through history.
The Women's Wrestling Archive launches 2026, and it's going to pave the way for all women's wrestling.
Because if we don't document it, a man might say he did it first.
This has been a passion project for a very long time. Head over to the womenswrestlingarchive.com to donate 1, 5, or whatever you can. It all goes a long way.
Let's give these women the spotlight that they've always deserved.
Her story belongs in history. Help us preserve it today. Join us at womenswrestlingarchive.com. Support the archive. Support women's wrestling. Donate today.
So speaking of wrestling, WrestleMania is upon us. It's so crazy because it felt like we started the year and now we're in March. And like next month is April, which is obviously the calendar, but April is WrestleMania. With that being said, Trish Stratus, she's going to be there at Flanker's Kitchen and Sports Bar in Las Vegas during WrestleMania week, which will be insane. Trish Stratus is, I could say this about every women's wrestler that I've met. There's not one that I can think of that's like, oh, I could think of a lot of celebrities that I've met that's like, yeah, that's people don't know about this. But every women's wrestler I've met has been so like kind and just a really great personality. And Trish Stratus is one of them, given the fact that she's been in the game for years and she doesn't have to be. But super dope individual. So she's gonna have this event in or during WrestleMania. And I think the count was, I think Sed put it in the group chat. How many shows are they having? Do you recall, Courtney?
There's a lot. It's like over 50 shows. Over 50.
Yeah, crazy a week. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about this event, Court?
Yeah, so the wonderful Trish Stratus, and it's always a treat because she is definitely, and this was a press release they released, WWE, pretty much talking about a week-long collaboration with WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus during WrestleMania week from April 13th through the 20th. And of course, it's the limited time activation. First Crushed by Trish Stratus, her tour, and it delivers a can't miss fan experience with an exclusive pop-up merchandise shop, themed food and beverage offerings, meet and greets, podcast recordings, panels, and fireside chats, and surprise moments throughout the weekend. And also, as I mentioned, throughout the week, they definitely guests will experience a fan atmosphere filled with surprise moments, interactive programming, and a lineup of fan-focused events. And all this is happening at Flanker Kitchen and Sports Bar during WrestleMania week from April 13th to the 20th. But also, some of the specials will include lunch and dinner selections along with signature cocktails and mocktails. And also, as I mentioned, exclusive Trish Stratus pop-up merchandise that you can get during WrestleMania week. So this seems like a really good, fun opportunity. If you are in Vegas that week and if you're enjoying WrestleMania week, it's definitely a good treat to see Canada, one of Canada's greatest exports.
For sure. I'm curious, and again, we talked about this on the phone, Hope, as far as 2027 is going to be in Saudi Arabia. And we see this is their second go around as far as Vegas. I was there last year. I will be there this year. If you guys are looking for me, wherever Mark is, I'm probably off to the side. That will be one of my duties this time around again. But I wonder if it's going to be on the same level as what they're bringing to Vegas. Shout out to Mojo. His company Paragon. They're having a whole bunch of installations. He's bringing, I think, 6 or 7 shows. His events that he put on, that Paragon put on, were amazing. Like, you got to watch WrestleMania poolside at, I think, the Palms Casino. Like, they really thought out a lot of different things. So I'm curious what they're going to do the second time around. But with that being said, my question, Hope, is, will Saudi be able to top that? And do you think Vegas is now the blueprint of what's going to be happening to come?
Well, the Saudis definitely have the money. and they want WrestleMania. They've got WrestleMania for next year, and they want WWE. Will they have WWE next year? That remains to be seen. The other thing about the Saudis is that they love historical figures. They'll pay what they need to pay to bring The Rock, The Undertaker, and I would imagine if the cry is loud enough, they would bring a Trish Stratus. I believe they would bring, maybe Alita. I personally would love to see Jacqueline and Jazz. Those are ladies who are greatly underrated. This is also Saudi, and I saw how they treated Jade, and I saw how they treated Bianca, and it wasn't okay. And I hope that I was wrong about what I saw and what I read, but Jade, based off of some of Jade's comments, it goes back to the original question or segment that we had earlier about Jade and her interaction with some of the other ladies. So it will be very interesting to see what happens WrestleMania season next year. And even I would dare say the bigger question, what will AEW and some of the other independents do? Because to me, that would be a major opportunity to say, okay, you took the Super Bowl of wrestling overseas. I don't know too many, and you all correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know too many people in media who's going to travel to Saudi Arabia. I don't know how too many people who is going to take their marketing materials, t-shirts, things of that nature. I have a tough time seeing them do that. Some will, of course, but I would imagine there would still be a significant market here who may feel some kind of way. And then you look at the prices. I mean, just imagine if AEW team partnered with a huge independent or maybe even multiple independents and chose a Chicago or a Dallas or a neutral place where they host an event that almost counters WrestleMania. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 nights, but just one night where you could invite people in and say, hey, wrestling fans, here's a more affordable option. If you and not taking anything away from WrestleMania over in Saudi. I have no doubt it will be a fire show. The Saudis are going to definitely make it fire, but there's still going to be a huge chunk who's left here in these United States that's going to want to do something. Why not make that offer? I think it's a tremendous opportunity at the end of the day for wrestling fans, like literally to have these choices. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they are leaving an open spot here. And I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago where there's certain certain restaurants that were unable to show the PLEs because of whatever the embargo WWE has. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing, or the bigger thing is to partner with the Cosmos or the Cosms and other restaurants to have these PLEs shown, specifically WrestleMania shown at these restaurants, and both parties take a cut. WWE takes a cut because it's being shown. The restaurant makes money because there's nowhere else to see it because WWE's not here. But then they open themselves to so many people overseas. Like, how far is it from whatever country to Saudi? And the WrestleCons might not be able to make it, but is there a WrestleCon that is in Saudi or in Europe that's close that we never even heard of? So it's again, both sides, we just don't know what it looks like. I do agree with you. There's a lot of money there. It's gonna be interesting. Would I go? I would definitely try to go, but I'm not paying for myself to go. So see how that rolls out. It's a lot of money. Can you think of like the hotels? Oh my gosh,
it's a lot of money. Then you have to think of like itinerary and food. That also is another thing, and merchandise.
Yeah, and then the thing too is just Americans. No offense, because I'm not American, but Americans traveling abroad. Actually, we experienced this in Bahamas. It was kind of like there was a holiday and everything was shut down because that's just what they do in Bahamas. You know, it's a holiday here in the US and things are still open, but in Bahamas, everything is shut down. And we had people are like, I don't understand why everything's shut down. Well, this is their country. This is how they do it. So I'm going to be curious to see how many Americans do travel and how much of I'm hoping that they're prepared for the culture shock and not the reverse where they expect the culture to adjust to American living. So I'm really hoping that maybe we should do like a video or Courtney, this is up your alley. You do a video how to travel abroad and not get arrested. This is your task for WrestleMania next year.
Oh God, next year we shall see on that first Saudi. I can think of a lot of I'm not gonna say it here live, but I can think of a lot of things.
Right. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Another thing that's happening, it always happens, which is the Hall of Fame. Matt Hardy, he said that Owen Hart, Chyna, and Miss Elizabeth should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. There should be a lot of people in the Hall of Fame. They've been talking about Chyna for a long time. So do we think that's possible? The rumor is the reason Chyna hasn't been is because of Triple H. I don't necessarily believe that that's the truth. But yeah, we'll see. So, Court, who do you think should be in there, or are these really good choices?
All of them should be in the Hall of Fame, but unfortunately, I'm looking at the first two, Miss Elizabeth and Owen Hart. I don't think people understand the backstory because I know people really want Owen to be in the Hall of Fame, but of course, with the circumstances and unfortunately his tragic passing. I understand where Martha is coming from because if you lose a family member, like she lost her husband, the kids lost their dad, and also with the fact too, the investigation that happened after Over the Edge in 1999. And I think that's an event not many fans want to watch because that's very painful to watch because that was the death of Owen Hart. So that's something to really think about as well. Because I would love to see Owen. Like if it didn't happen, if he was still alive, I would say yes. Owen Hart deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Miss Elizabeth's case, similar scenario because her family doesn't want her to be in it because of the circumstances after her death because she was with Lex Luger. And then unfortunately, we kind of knew what happened leading up to her death. I actually remember hearing about the news, watching WWE Confidential every event leading up to her passing. So that was very hard to do. And I can understand from family perspective, like they don't want her in because of the circumstances that happened. But I do believe Miss Elizabeth should be. I just hope, I don't want to say I like to be optimistic, but I know there's a lot of circumstances behind the scenes we don't know. But I mean, she should be in the Hall of Fame. She's the first lady of wrestling. She did valet. She played a huge part between her and Macho Man and the Mega Powers. I don't see why not she can't be. And I mean, with Chyna, I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, there was a lot of things behind the scenes with Triple H and Stephanie and everything else. And then, of course, some stuff she did outside of wrestling. That's another huge factor that many people are not figuring out. But I do think Owen and Elizabeth, but unfortunately, the circumstances that they're in, that's also another conversation to have. And even Brett said it many times, but it's kind of one of those things, and you're gonna have to think. And also, I don't appreciate the way the fans been talking about Martha, because if that was your family member that was in a similar circumstance to Owen, you kind of would have a different thought on that. So I really understand where Martha is coming from, but obviously, all three should be in the Hall of Fame, especially with all the work they did in the pay. But we shall see.
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
She's on a phone call. She's always busy.
Well, I guess I can go on ahead and speak, or should we wait for her?
You can go. You can say what you need to say.
Okay. This is tough. You know, initially when I read the three names, I said absolutely. But at the end of the day, I remember Owen Hart's passing. I will never forget the show. I will never forget the Raw after the show. To see those grown men break down in tears. I still remember Triple H not being able to talk. in China having to speak on his behalf. They were all moved. And to this day, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. But we have to respect the wishes of the family. Miss Elizabeth, most definitely. Macho Man's in the Hall of Fame. Lex is in the Hall of Fame. Sensational Sherry's in the Hall of Fame. Why not Elizabeth with all of the contributions that she's made? But again, with the circumstances, her family, hopefully they will change their mind, because it breaks my heart, especially with the ladies. When I think of Elizabeth, I think of fallen angel woman Nancy Benoit, who will probably not get in the Hall of Fame because of what happened with her husband, Chris Benoit. Never mind the contributions, the vast contributions that she made to the sport, that she originated in some cases and hasn't been duplicated. It hurts me to my heart to think of these women never being in the Hall of Fame. With China, she should, I think, the DX being in the Hall of Fame is a great start. Eventually, I can see her going in solo, but there's so much that she did after she left the ring that definitely is holding things up. And we have to be real. And what happened between Triple H and Stephanie, everyone knows about it. Everyone suspects that that's possibly playing a role. But if I had to wager, I would say it's more the things that she did outside of the ring, which again is unfortunate, because she definitely deserves a solo slot in the Hall of Fame.
And this is why, not to be like beating a dead horse, but I don't think I am. This is why we have the archive, because WWE's Hall of Fame is just for WWE folks. And the archive, the Women's Wrestling Archive, is for all women, from, indies to WWE to AEW to ROH to WOW. All these women who have made who have contributed to women's wrestling. And so, it's one of those things that I really hope it's not the rumors, specifically with China. It's just more of a timing thing, because at the end of the day, and I think Bosa's saying it in the chat, as far as like, Stephanie doesn't want her kids. Her kids are almost grown. Like it's kind of public knowledge, and there's been biographies who kind of hinted at it. I feel like in today's society, it's very hard not to know something. And even if they don't know now, they'll eventually know. It's part of their history. So it's, well, not the kids' history in that sort of way, but it's part of, Triple H and Stephanie's history. It's going to be talked about either in front of their faces or behind their backs. So I hope that's not what the thing is. Stephanie seems like, and I don't know her, obviously, but Stephanie seems like she's matured. That's not going to be the to hold up somebody else's legacy because of that. And even if the stuff that China did after the fact, how many men have done crazier things and they're in the Hall of Fame?
There's many. I can think of a few. There's many.
Right. So, but look
at how many are able to get away with things, and the ladies, just like Roman, and I love Roman dearly. I think we all do. But Roman got to go away with the belt for months at a time. Rhea gets injured and she has to relinquish her belt in 3 weeks for an injury that could have been, it wasn't okay. But again, there's been many advances in wrestling, but there's still a different set of rules for the guys and a different set of rules for the girls.
Yeah. So unfortunately, but hopefully it will change, and we'll see. Maybe they're waiting for a certain if you guys know who Sarah the Rebel is, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. We're trying to embrace the delusion of it all, where it seems like a lot of people I have the luxury of doing that. So in my delusion world, hypothetically, maybe they're just waiting for the perfect year and the perfect time to do such a thing. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Cousin
Do we have any more
Ron.
stories?
Cousin Ron.
Cousin Ron. Do we have any more stories of this? Oh,
Uh,
Gabby.
Yes, Gabby.
Do you want to talk about Gabby, her wanting a singles match with Chris Statlander?
Yeah, so if you guys have not been paying attention in the independent scene, Gabby Forza is somebody that has just exploded within the last few years. She graduated from Creative Pro Wrestling, where hint hint, Chris Statlander graduated from Creative Pro Wrestling. And she mentioned on wanting a singles match against the woman that definitely paved the way when she was training. She goes on to say, I'm very lucky. I just feel like all the positive energy I've been getting is just continuing on in my wrestling journey where I'm getting to wrestle my dream opponents. I'm very excited about that. I just want to keep having more dream matches, get in the ring with more amazing women, and keep becoming my best, know me his self. Willow Nightingale, February 27th, I got to wrestle her in a singles match. Beyond Wrestling, I've been talking about that match since before I had my first match. If you ask my three opponents I wanted, it's Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Aaron Roque, and I got to wrestle all of them in tag matches. I was like, that's not enough. That's not enough. I want singles matches, and it's happening in 2026. And shout out to Joey Pearl from Fightful, who did an interview with Gabby Forza. And I was very privileged on seeing her matches because I do commentary for ISPW Wrestling for Girl Power Pro Wrestling. And she was in the first three. And meeting her for the first time, she is actually one of the most sweetest and humblingest human beings. And seeing her wrestle, I can see why a lot of people are very putting their money on her in the independent scene. And also with the fact, too, she recently did Bailey's 3-day seminar that she had earlier this year. And I'm very proud of Gabby. I would not mind seeing her face off against Chris Statlander. She is the woman that did pave. They both wrestled at Creative Pro together. Gabby is the inaugural Creative Pro Women's Champion. So definitely getting awarded by Chris Statlander. That is very huge as well. And we did talk about Chris Statlander for a bit because that was after she lost the TBS title because we said she's gonna get some gold. She's gonna get some gold. We're gonna be patient, but Gabby is definitely somebody that you should keep an eye on. And if you have not watched any of her matches in the independent scene, please do. She is definitely killing it in the scene along with her husband, Bear Bronson, who's now signed with TNA. They're both doing amazing things, and hopefully we do get to see her versus Statlander pretty soon in the future.
Yeah,
congratulations to her.
Gabby could very well be all elite by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised.
There it is. Well, it seems like an all elite show to end on a high note. Hope. I don't know if Sindel is still on, but she's a big fan of yours. I don't know if you saw the comment. But with that being said, as far as people following your work and what you do, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how people can follow you.
Absolutely. Hello again, everyone. My name is Hope. I love professional wrestling. I've been a follower and a fan and admirer since the days of the Four Horsemen. So I remember the territory days very well. Truly my happy place, if you will. So much so that I've taken up writing articles for Double Take Sports and Pro Wrestling Post. You're welcome to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just look for Hope Honey's Baby, and you'll find me and follow me. And I'd love to hear from you, most definitely. And thank you again, ladies, for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thank you for coming on. And Miss Courtney Rice, where can everybody follow you, find you, all that good stuff?
All that good stuff. Well, people can find me top of the hour because I will be doing a watch along for AEW Dynamite because we do have a packed show in El Paso, Texas, because we do have, we're almost done with our road trip to Revolution. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. So you get to spend 2 hours with me on all the action as well. They can follow me on my socials on Twitter and Instagram on @CourtneyNJ11 because I do have content. I was very happy to be at New Japan last weekend. If you have not been to a New Japan show, please do. It was my first time being there in New Jersey, and I literally was on my feet throughout the night. The matches were on fire, and so happy to see New Japan grow. And shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody in New Japan, killing it. All the wrestlers, everybody doing amazing work. And since we were talking about Miss Elizabeth, next week I will be on the Wrestling Life podcast next Wednesday because we will be talking about Miss Elizabeth. We will be talking about her life, her journey, the highs, the lows, everything in between, and super excited to really dive in to learn more about Miss Elizabeth. So feel free to follow me on that because we're going to do it next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time on my time zone.
It's an early podcast. All right, y'all. You guys can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. Like literally everywhere. Just Google me and all the social medias will pop up. Definitely support the archive. I really appreciate the people thus far really stepped up over the last week and a half. We are very, very close to launching it. I am so proud of this. It's gonna be, this is just the beginning as far as what's gonna happen after this this archive is launched. And just even looking back at the interviews that WWT has done with folks, it's just kind of amazing to see. So I definitely encourage you guys to check out womenswrestlingarchive.com and donate. And if you can't donate financially, just share the page. I'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. With that being said, definitely stay and watch AEW with Court tonight. We have WWT Live on Friday. Still working on how to, fit in this WOW and LFG because, man, we out here being busy. But thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.